Hello and welcome back to my channel, where today we're going to be taking a look at some very exciting battles that I recorded in the single type cup. I was running quite a spicy team with Registeel for my lead, Shadow Ampharos for the safe switch, and I started with Manectric as the closer, but it wasn't really working out, so I ended up changing to Shadow Bayonet to nuke my opponents off the face of the earth. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the battles. As you can see, we lead into an Umbreon with Registeel, so we safe switch into Shadow Ampharos, and now we have the Focus Blast. They get off a foul play against Ampharos. We're going to build up to the Focus Blast and then bait with Brutal Swing here. This does grab the shield from the opponent, and they're going to reach another foul play here, but we could easily just match shields and then build up to the Focus Blast right now. Shadow Ampharos charging up that Focus Blast. Umbreon does let it go through, and that absolutely vanquishes Umbreon off the face of the earth. Ampharos makes it to another Brutal Swing here, and we can just fire this off into the Hypno. This will be doing big damage onto the Hypno, and now I send in the Manectric just to get a bit of extra farm, and then I'll switch back into the Registeel. The opponent is going to send in a Vigoroth, and Registeel already at the Focus Blast here, trying to undercharge it, because if the opponent lets it through, I want to be able to farm down with my Manectric, and the opponent baits with a Body Slam. We are saving the shield from Manectric, and we go for another Focus Blast here, undercharging it, and that is the perfect undercharge. That actually wasn't a CMP tie, I just didn't want to do any more damage to the Vigoroth, so my Manectric could farm down. We get the farm down, they send back in the Hypno, and they're at the move, but however, we have the shield, and now we can just go for the Thunder here, and delete them off the face of the earth. Well played to you, sir. Thank you for the game. Into the next match, we see a Muk on the lead into our Registeel. We are going to go straight for the Zap Cannon here, as we're going to try and look for the debuff so we can tank these Dark Pulses a little bit better. They do reach a move, and we do not get the debuff, unfortunately. They just bait us, however, with the Acid Spray, so that's just fine. We can just go for the Zap Cannon again, and we get the debuff this time, which is perfect. So now we can just let this go through easily. It does absolutely nothing to us, and we can look for a potential lock-on down with Registeel, but the opponent does not want to let us lock on down without throwing their energy. They bait again with another Acid Spray. That is insane, and we decide to just throw the energy because I don't really want them to put the Reggie's health too low, and they have their own Registeel. We still outpace to a Focus Blast here, so that's fine. We can go for the Focus Blast. They are going to shield, and they have no shields left. Registeel will reach the move here. And now, I'm not sure 100%, yeah, I am going to shield that up. I thought I might have let it go, just so I can go for the Focus Blast on the Ampharos. But I think at the time I was still learning the team, and I wasn't sure if Ampharos would be able to just one-shot Registeel. Spoiler alert, it might well be. Anyway, the opponent is going to send in a Grand Ball, and this is the... we are going to reach the Thunder here and go straight for it. However, the opponent must have thought we were baiting with the Psychic Fangs, because they let the Thunder go through and then they just get snarled down by Manectric, so happy days for us. Anyways, into the next battle, we see a Hypno on the lead. Registeel farms up to 100 energy and then goes for a Zap Cannon here, looking to get the debuff. The opponent lets it go through, and it does get the debuff onto the Hypno, which is fantastic for us, because now we can just let this go through and live the Focus Blast. In comes a Grand Ball, and we can go for another Zap Cannon here. The opponent is going to shield this, and we get the debuff. That means Manectric can farm up to more moves against Grand Ball, because normally Charm would only allow Manectric to get off one nuke here. So Manectric is going to be able to reach 2 Thunders here potentially, depending on what the opponent does. The opponent lets the Thunder go through, and Manectric one-taps him with Thunder, and now we can go for the overheat against Hypno. Hypno is going to shield that up, and now we can send in Shadow Ampharos and look for a Volt Switch farm down against our opponent. The opponent is at a move. It is the Shadow Ball. We do shield it. That is big. And now they send in an Umbreon. Shadow Ampharos charging up that Focus Blast. Umbreon gets absolutely deleted by the Focus Blast. And now in comes the Hypno, and Volt Switch farms him down for the win. What a game. Anyways, into the next battle, we see a Dragonair on the lead into our Registeel. These Dragonbats are adding up, but we can just no-shield the Body Slam because it does absolutely nothing to us. The opponent should have just gone for the Aqua Tail, and we are looking for the debuff again with Zap Cannon, just to try and tank more moves to get shields from the opponent. The opponent fires off an Aqua Tail, that does nothing again, and now Reggie is going to go for the cheaper Focus Blast here, looking to get a shield from the opponent, and they do commit the shield, which is big. They are going to reach a move here, not wanting to risk us reaching a move of our own, so we let that go through. That's fine, and now we can come in and Volt Switch farm them down with Ampharos. We are going to shield up here, could potentially, it is the body slam that would do quite a bit of damage. We want to keep some health on the Ampharos. They send in an Umbreon. Shadow Ampharos goes for the Focus Blast straight away. Focus Blast one taps the Umbreon again, and now, oh, they have a Gramble in the back. So absolutely heartbreaking. We reach an overheat here, but it is just not really going to matter because, as you can see, Gramble just farms us down with Charm. And now, although we will be able to make it to the move on Ampharos, Brutal Swing is just resisted, obviously, and it's not in Brutal Swing range. If this was the Shadow, then it would definitely KO them, but because they are non-Shadow, they live on like 5 HP and farm us down. So, super tragic there, but that one shot on Umbreon was insane. Anyways, into the next match, we see another Kanto Mug in the lead. They just go for a Thunder Punch, that's fine, we can let that go through. And now we're going to go for the Zap Cannon once again. You know the game plan at this point. We do not get the debuff, unfortunately. I feel like my Registeel is turning slowly into a non-shiny version of Jonkers. They go for another Thunder Punch. Doesn't seem like they're running Dart Pulse. And anyways, we go for another Zap Cannon here. The opponent does let it go through. And now they're going to send in Shadow Kanto Ninetales. We make it to a Focus Blast, which is really big. They are looking for the farm down, but now they will be forced to shield that up. And now we can just send in our Shadow Ampharos. Shadow Ampharos gets the Volt Switch through. The opponent is potentially an overheat here, so we will shield, and they do go to just a Weather Ball. This should just be a Weather Ball, so we can let this go through. Shadow Ampharos able to tank it, no problem. And now we're going to go for the Brutal Swing to look to take out the Ninetales. The opponent does shield it, and now we're going to aggressively save switch into the Bayonet. Sorry, I forgot to mention these are now on. From now on going forward, the Bayonet games, we aggressively switch into the Bayonet, get the farm down, and they send in a Clefable. Shadow Bayonet going for the Shadow Ball here. It nearly one taps the Clefable from full health. Oh my goodness gracious. Absolutely mental. Leading into the next match here, we see an Umbreon on the lead into our Registeel, and this is an absolutely just commanding matchup for Registeel. Umbreon is going to start junking with the foul plays. They tried to catch a move on the Hypno, but now we just aggressively swap into our Bayonet. We can shield up the first move and then fully Shadow Claw them down. But we do opt to go for a move here, so at the time I didn't realise that we would be able to fully Shadow Claw them down. We reach a Thunder against Umbreon. We go for the Thunder. I mean, Shadow Claw would do more damage, I think, but they're still going to shield it anyway because they're terrified of Shadow Bayonet. But now we send back in the Registeel, and they are switch locked, so we look for the debuff. We do get the debuff, which is big, and now they aren't going to be able to chunk away at us as much as they would normally be able to anymore. Now we're going to aggressively switch into our Ampharos. We can let a Foul Play go through here because it's not going to do much since they are debuffed. And now they send in Aromatisse. We're going for the resisted Focus Blast here. How much does it do? It nearly one-taps them. And Ampharos putting in the work. Registeel can just look for a lock-on farm down here. We can shield up the move. They are running Charm, so that's fine. We just shield this up and they will get nowhere near. And yeah, back in comes the Umbreon. Registeel has the Focus Blast loaded, and Focus Blast is just going to delete this Umbreon. Goodbye, Umbreon. Well played to you, sir. Into the next match, we see a Miltank on the lead, and we have our Registeel. He's going for the Zap Cannon straight away. You already know. Not sure what the move the Miltank is running, so he will respect it with a shield. They are just running Thunderbolt, and now we can go for the Zap Cannon here. Zap Cannon gets shielded by the opponent. It does not get the debuff again, which sucks. That's fine though, we're just going to let this second Thunderbolt go through because it won't do that much damage to us. And now we're building up to the Focus Blast here. Miltank lets the Focus Blast go through and gets one tap. We're going to immediately save switch into our Shadow Ampharos, and the opponent responds with a Clefable, charging up the resisted Focus Blast. Do they respect it? They do respect it, and Clefable is able to Fairy Wind farm us down. We just come back in the Registeel here. He's going to hardwall this Clefable. There's not much they can really do. They're just going to keep wasting their energy. They go for a resisted Psychic. That does absolutely nothing. Registeel can just go for a Zap Cannon here, looking to grab the final shield from the opponent. I accidentally tab out, and anyway, it looks like that Zap Cannon KO'd, and they're going to come in with a Berserker here, but we have a shield advantage, and we have Shadow Bayonet. We're going to call the close combat bait. It is a close combat, and now their defense has been lowered, and we will shield up the second move. It is a player of this that would have taken us out, and we just farm them down, double debuff. Not really sure why they baited, but yeah, So happy days for us anyway. So into the next match, we see a Melmetal lead into our Registeel. We are going to call, it's not a superpower, but they do full send the superpower straight away, and we reach a Focus Blast of our own. They do shield it up, and that's okay for us too. They do reach another move here. I do have to now shield the resisted superpower, which kind of sucks. And they're already at another superpower here, so we can just let this go through, and we will live it. And now we just send in our Ampharos. In hindsight, I wasn't really thinking. I know that they are 3 stages debuffs. I could have just let that go through, but they send in a Registeel. Shadow Ampharos farming up. He charges up the Focus Blast. He does shield it, unfortunately. Oh, one of these days they will let one through, and now the Registeel is at a Focus Blast. That nearly takes us out. Shadow Ampharos unable to make it to the Brutal Swing, but now we can send in our own Registeel and look for the Focus Blast onto them. We get the Focus Blast off, and now we aggressively switch into Bayonet and get the Shadow Claw farm down. The opponent comes back in with a Melmetal. We try, go for the farm down. We get the farm down, and they have a Politoed in the back. Shadow Bayonet charging up that Thunder. Thunder one-taps the Politoed. Oh my days. This team just going absolutely, just nuking everything. And now, into the next match, we see another Hypno. Please, something different for a change. I mean, that's ironic because we are running Registeel lead, but that's whatever. Anyway, they safe switch into a Shadow Kanto Ninetales, and we're going to go for the debuff onto this Ninetales before safe switching out of here. We do get the debuff, and now we just farm them down with Shadow Ampharos. We can shield this up in case it's an overheat, and it is the overheat. So that was a good shield by us. They send in a Clefable, and we're going for a resisted Focus Blast again. This will do big damage if they let it through. They do shield it. Why is everyone shielding up the resisted Focus Blast? Oh well. Anyway, we come back in with the Registeel, and the opponent will make it to a move here. Doesn't matter what they throw, because Registeel will be able to tank it, no problem. And now we can make it to, they try to catch, and they are unable to do so. We catch in return onto our Bayonet, and we can absorb that damage, no problem. We're just honestly going to shield this up, because we can make it to a Shadow Ball here, before they can make it to another move, and this is going to be just game over. We have the move already loaded on Registeel. They can farm us down all they want, but we have the Zap Cannon ready, and yeah, that's just going to be a game. So well played to my opponent there, but we managed to bank that Zap Cannon, and yeah, that was all she wrote really. Moving into the next match, we see a Haxorus lead. We're going to save switch into the Ampharos. Haxorus is going to reach a breaking swap here. We will shield it up, and they do debuff us one stage, but Ampharos is Shadow and does reach a Brutal Swing. The opponent does shield it up. We get to another Brutal Swing. It only takes 2 more Volt Switches to make the second, and they let that go through, and Haxorus win. We win switch against their Haxorus. They're going to send in a Kanto Muck, and we're just going to send in Registeel, looking to grab shields from the opponent so Bayonet can sweep at the end game. They bait with an Acid Spray. Opponent just does not learn their lesson with these baits. We go for the Zap Cannon. It gets the debuff. That's just absolutely perfect for us. We can just keep no shielding. The opponent goes for another Acid Spray bait for some reason, and we just get fed up. We just send in Bayonet. They safe switch into Clefable, and we just go for a Shadow Ball. How much does this do? It absolutely one-taps them, and now they come back in with the Muck. We can just shield up whatever move they're going to throw here. We decide to call an Acid Spray bait, and they bait again, and Bayonet makes it to another Shadow Ball, and this will just vanquish Muck off the face of the earth. So, don't know what the hell the opponent was doing there. Just tried to bait too much. Just an absolute masturbator. That's fine. The opponent in the next battle, as we see, leads Ninetales. We save switch into Ampharos, and they respond with a Dragonair. We're going to go for the Brutal Swing here. It does about half of Dragonair's health. It's perfect. We can reach another Brutal Swing here, and the opponent will either shield this or let it go through and win a switch. We do see the CMP tie here, which is perfect for us. We can just let that go and take a shield advantage, and now we can look for a potential lock-on farm down with the Registeel. So honestly, that was just perfect scenario for us. We either win the switch or we get the shield advantage. So the opponent is just going to look for Aqua Tails. At this point, I can't remember. I think I was debating throwing a move and just no bubbling it. But we do decide to just bank the move on Registeel and then send in Bayonet with a 2-to-1 shield advantage. The opponent brings in a Muck. We go for a Shadow Ball. Do they respect the damage? They do not respect the damage, and Muck gets absolutely one-tapped. Ninetales is going to reach a move here, but it does not matter because we have 2 shields. We can just make it to another Shadow Ball, and the opponent, do they let this go through? I mean, this game is over. They do shield it up, but we can just come in with the Reggie and go for the Zap Cannon. It is a CMP tie, but we have the shield, so Ninetales not going to be able to take the game here. Registeel makes the Zap Cannon, and this is going to be a good game. Well played, sir. Into the next match, we see a Sea King lead, so something different for a change, a Waterfall Sea King. And Sea King does actually get access to drill on, so we will be careful here. We're just going to go straight for the Zap Cannon, as we usually do. They do shield it. We do not get the debuff, which sucks. However, Registeel is able to live a one drill on from this range, so we actually call the bait, and they do throw a Water Pulse, and we can make it to another Zap Cannon here. The opponent is going to double shield, and now we send in Shadow Ampharos aggressively looking for the Volt Switch farm down from full health. They go for a Mega Horn. They are not running Drill Run. And now the opponent sends in a Registeel. Is this it? They have no shields. Focus Blast, one taps Registeel from full health. Absolutely insane. And now we try to make it to another Brutal Swing, but we're not able to do so. However, this Gramble is running Charm, so we can just send in Bayonet here and try and look for a full Shadow Claw farm down and leave with the Shadow Ball loaded for that Sea King that they have in the back. Sea King comes in, tries to kill us with a Waterfall, but they cannot kill us, and we just fire off the Shadow Ball and delete them off the face of the earth. Into the next battle, we see a superior lead into our Registeel, and now we're just going to do the same thing that we have always done. I feel like I've said that so many times now, but you already know the drill. We're just going to go for the Zap Cannon, trying to get that debuff. And they do shield up the Zap Cannon. We do not see the debuff, unfortunately. However, we can just keep no shielding this because these Leaf Tornadoes are all resisted by Registeel, so that's fine. The opponent is going to make another Leaf Tornado here, so they're not running Frenzy Plant Legacy, so they just have the Leaf Tornado, so that's fine. We just keep firing off Zap Cannon. We do finally see a debuff, and the opponent has gone down 2 shields, and the Registeel is going to be able to just take switch with 1 Zap Cannon here. We throw the Focus Blast instead, and we go for an undercharge looking to farm down, but we end up accidentally catching a move onto our Shadow Bayonet. They were debuffed, so maybe we could have let that go, but we decide not to. They come in with the Clefable, and we know how much a Shadow Ball does to Clefable. The opponent has no shields left. Shadow Ball nearly 1-taps, so maybe like the IVs on that Clefable were slightly different. But now we're going to look for a lock-on farm down with Registeel. We get the farm down, and we make it to a Focus Blast against Vaporeon, and this is just GG. Shadow Ampharos is going to be able to Volt Switch down, no problem. And yeah, the opponent just surrenders and accepts his fate, so happy days for us. Well played to you, and good game. Into the next match, we see a Gramble lead. They're going to save switch Electrode. We're going to go for the debuff, and then look to save switch out of this matchup. So yeah, so we do save switch into the Ampharos. Electrode is going to make a move here. I'm unsure what Electrode's moveset was, so I do shield, and it is a foul play, so I know that Ampharos can tank another foul play here, so I'm going to let this go through, calling that they're not at any other sort of move. We make it to back-to-back Brutal Swings, and we're going to throw the first here, see what the opponent will do. They do shield the second, and now we're going to go for a second Brutal Swing. This will allow us to take switch advantage from our opponent easily with Shadow Ampharos, and we are now in a commanding position of this game. The opponent sends in a Politoed. Shadow Ampharos makes another Focus Blast. The opponent has no shields remaining. Focus Blast incoming. Politoed just gets deleted, and yeah, the opponent is just stuck with Gramble into Registeel and surrenders, so this team just put in so much work. Shadow Ampharos and Bayonet are just deadly. The opponent tries to catch and move onto Machamp, but now we can just go for a Zap Cannon into their Machamp and then send in our Bayonet to farm them down completely and just hardball them. We do shield this, and it is the Rock Slide, and yeah, they will be able to make it to a cross chop here. I'm unsure if they made the Rock Slide. I wasn't really counting, but they did just make the cross chop, but that's fine. We get a full Shadow Ball farm down, and we are almost at back-to-back Shadow Balls here, so they actually let it go through, and Clefable nearly gets one-shotted. Registeel, oh my goodness. Registeel comes back in, and we fire off the Shadow Ball on the CMP tie, so perfect for us. And now we can come in with Ampharos and go for the Focus Blast to take them out here. Yeah, but the opponent surrenders before we're able to do so, which sucked. But anyway, into the final battle, we see a Shadow Kanto Grimer on the lead this time, and we are just going to go for the Zap Cannon here, looking for that debuff. We get it, thankfully. I think that's the first battle in ages, and then the opponent is going to safe switch into an Uxie, so the opponent getting super spicy in here with their Uxie. They go for a future sight, it would be resisted, but it would probably do big damage to Bayonet. We are very glassy. We farm up to nearly back-to-back Shadow Balls, and then they send back in the Grima. We go for the Shadow Ball. Do they respect it? They do not. And Grima gets one tapped. We make it to another Shadow Ball, and they come in with Mew in the back, and they just let it go through, and that is going to be a good game. Thank you very, very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed. I had an absolute blast playing this team in the single cup. But now I'm going to be focusing for when Master League, Open Master League comes back around, because I would like to do some videos on that. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment telling me what part you enjoyed the most, which battle was your favorite. And yeah, take care, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.